Hello, Writing One students. I hope you're doing well on this Tuesday, March 31st. Today's lesson is going to be our continuation of our analysis of the Gettysburg Address. So I know this might sound a little tedious to you. We're going awfully slow compared to what we would in my classroom, but I want to make sure I'm giving you about 15 to 20 minutes of work a day so I don't overwhelm you and stress you out. So looking ahead, our goal is to finish this up by Thursday. And so that'll complete our study of Lincoln's the Gettysburg Address by Thursday. That'll be your 100-point packet. And please know too that I posted on Classroom here, as I will show you. I'm going to be posting the answer keys after we finish a lesson in case you couldn't see the YouTube video very well or you just need to pull those up. So that'll be there for you. Okay? All right, let's get into this here. So we've talked about metaphor, we talked about ethos, pathos, and logos. Today, we're going to talk about rhetorical devices. All right, so if you could turn in your packet to the activity that says rhetorical devices. You should have crossed out the one, the first one, because I accidentally copied these twice in your packet. So we're going to work on the one that already has the example there for you, okay? So remember, rhetorical devices are like allusion, metaphor, anaphora. Again, it can be ethos, pathos, and logos as well, but these can be figurative devices like metaphor and imagery. So we're just going to do the front side. You can cross off the back side. We're only going to do 4 examples together, and then we're going to write an explanatory paragraph together. Okay? So let's read the example together, and I will walk you through this. Okay? So the example rhetorical device is allusion. And remember, an allusion is a reference. If you look in your packet here, it is a short reference to a familiar person, place, thing, or event. We can have biblical allusions, mythological allusions, historical allusions, and so forth. Okay? So all men are created equal. That's an allusion to the Declaration of Independence because that's stated in that document. And Lincoln's purpose of using allusion is to help symbolize equality and freedom and reminds the people what they are fighting for. Make sense? All right, so we're going to go into another allusion, which is the very first sentence of his speech 77 years ago. And that's actually a biblical allusion and alludes to the Bible, echoing the Bible's language for the life of a human, and that's in Psalm 90. And in Psalm 90, there's a reference to I think it says 70 and something in there. But the idea of saying the word score instead of just saying 87 years ago, using that word score and adding the years up that way actually goes all the way back to biblical times, and that's how they calculated years in the Bible. So he's alluding to the Bible, echoing the Bible's language for the life of a human, and that can be referenced in Psalm 90 in the Bible, in the book of Psalms. So you can pause this video at any time while you're copying this down, okay? Another example of rhetorical devices is metaphor, and I know we did a whole activity on that last week, so we're just going to keep this brief. This should not be new to you. This should just be a review. That whole idea of conceiving our country in freedom or in liberty. So this is that extended metaphor in his speech comparing conception to the birth of our country. Okay, so our country was conceived in liberty, birthed, founded, created in freedom, and we need to continue that freedom by abolishing slavery, making it, if we look up here, for all men to be created equal or considered equal. And then later on, we added women to that. So again, that would be a good rhetorical device to copy down. Again, if I'm going too fast, just pause the video. Hopefully you can read my chicken scratch there. Okay, next one is anaphora. And anaphora, remember, is the intentional repetition of words at the start of sentences. Okay, and you can see that when he uses the word we, let me go to the speech here and show you that. Where are you, anaphora? We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field for those who gave their lives. Okay, so that we are met, we have come, that's intentional. Okay, so that would be that repeated we is emphasizing and creating a shared national unity. That's his intention there. Another rhetorical device that I did not include in our exercise because I thought it was easy and you'd be able to pick it out even if I didn't teach it was alliteration. Alliteration's really simple. That's one of the easier rhetorical devices. So you can look in the second paragraph and see all those repeating F's in there. And I know you'd be able to identify that. So that's why we're working on the harder ones or more difficult ones to identify in this exercise. Okay, and then lastly, when we talk about parallel structure, it can be with verbs, it can be with phrases, it can be with nouns, but parallelism is when we have repeated words or verbs that are the same and it's a repeated structure. So if you look at the third paragraph, the first sentence, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow, that we cannot, that same subject and verb, that's parallel structure. He doesn't change the verb tense, he doesn't change the phrase at all. It's that repeated we cannot. That's parallelism, and he uses that here to emphasize continuing to fight for all men's freedoms. So take a second to copy that down. And like I said, we're not going to do the next page. We pointed out all the other examples and you're annotating, so you're fine just writing these down as a refresher. So if you still need to get caught up finishing this, just pause the video and do that, and unpause when you're ready. Okay, our next activity for today is we're going to put this all together. This is a writing class, so I'd like you to write routinely and frequently, even if it's small writing. It helps hone those writing skills and those analysis skills for our next activities as we go through our online learning together. This is good practice, okay? So take a look at the directions here. After analyzing President Abraham Lincoln's use of rhetorical devices in this speech, the Gettysburg Address, write an explanatory, that means we're explaining a paragraph that explains the effectives of using the devices we just talked about and strategies in his speech. Okay, so I'm going to read this out loud to you. Also maybe comment on or break it down. And while I'm doing that, I would like you to listen and follow along and copy this down into your packet. Okay, so if I asked you to write an extended response on the effectiveness of these rhetorical devices we talked about, it could look something like this. You're going to see a topic sentence, evidence with explanation, and a concluding sentence here. Okay, that's a good solid paragraph. President Lincoln uses multiple rhetorical devices in his speech, the Gettysburg Address. He uses allusion to help symbolize equality and freedom when he says all men are created equal. So see how I'm introducing that first device? He uses allusion to help symbolize equality and freedom when he says all men are created equal. So see how I'm explaining that rhetorical device? He uses allusion to help symbolize equality and freedom when he says all men are created equal. He uses parallelism when he says we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow. I think the rest is these grounds. This ground, yes. Okay, that's when he's talking about, hey, wait a minute, folks, we cannot dedicate this ground yet until we finish what we started and end this war and be triumphant and abolish slavery. Okay, so he uses parallel structure or parallelism, and then you cite the evidence there. And why does he do this? We're explaining this, his effectiveness, to inspire his listeners to believe his thoughts, to continue fighting against slavery. I feel like that's kind of wordy. Sorry, I didn't write the best sentence there, but it's explaining why he said that. Okay, so he uses parallelism when he says, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground, to inspire his listeners to believe his thoughts, to continue fighting against slavery. He's persuading them to join the cause of the Civil War, or the Union's cause. And then I like to use 3 examples, or I feel like 3 is always a good number. 3 body paragraphs, 3 claims in your thesis statement, 3 ideas when you're explaining. 3 is just a good number. So lastly, he uses anaphora to intentionally repeat we to create a sense of shared national unity. And you could even further this and say in exactly what sentence if you wanted to be more clear there. But I think we get the point across when we say that. Okay. Lastly, he uses anaphora to intentionally repeat we to create a sense of shared national unity. All of these devices are effective strategies in persuading his listeners to join his cause. So see how I have a sentence that sums all of that up? I just don't leave the reader hanging here with this last example. I kind of wrap it all up and conclude effectively there. Okay, again, I hope you can read my chicken scratch. I hope that I didn't go too quickly for you here and you were able to copy this all down. So if you need to go back to the paragraph, you can pause the video here and just check your work and copy that down. If you had enough time and you're good for the day, then great. So tomorrow, folks, we will continue with rhetorical triangle and main idea. And then Thursday, we'll do our last activity together. Tomorrow. Yeah, Thursday, we'll do rhetorical analysis précis. We'll be writing a précis together, which is super easy. We're just filling in the blank. And then that will conclude our analysis of the Gettysburg Address. And then Friday, I'm hoping to see you in our Google Meet session. Have a great day and take care.